On this episode of Simply New England, break out your brooms. We're headed to the Ocean State Curling Club for your new favorite winter sport. Then we're swimming over to Fearless Fish Market just for the halibut. Leave your quarters at home. It's all-day free play at the ElectroMagnetic Pinball Museum in Pawtucket. Then we meet a sign painter who's bringing the old-time character back to New England. All before Chef Nick rustles up a recipe that'll spin your spurs. Simply is brought to you by Cranston's Wines and More.
Hey folks, I'm Becky Gibble and welcome to an all-new season of Simply New England. It's winter, and as a transplanted New Englander, I've learned, don't fight it. So we've got an episode packed full of new adventures and hidden gems to brighten up your February. Hey folks, first up, nothing helps me get through the winter like a new hobby. Now, I've been here waiting for the pond to freeze, but it seems like that might not happen this winter. So let's head over to the Ocean State Curling Club and learn about our new favorite winter sport.
I'm Brienne Strauss, and we are at the Smithfield Ice Rink, and we are with the Ocean State Curling Club.
So right now we're in our Thursday league. It's a mix of people who've been curling for a year, and some of the curlers have been doing this for 12 years. So tonight's our championship game. Top two teams, Team Frechette and Team Walsh, are playing off for the honor to get our gold pins from the club.
Well, the first time we played them, it was, if I remember, a pretty big gap in the score.
The other team's really good. We've played them before and they crushed us. We've played well the last couple of weeks and pulled out a really good win last week.
Usually at least one of them come down to the championship every season or every session.
I mean, we always hope to win, but win or lose, it's a fun time.
It's going to be a fun game.
Part of me's rooting a little bit for Gordon tonight, I have to be honest. Gordon has been a member of the club for about 12 years and has never won the championship, so I'm hoping this is his elusive one.
I'm going to say Don. Yeah, Team Frechette is probably going to be the winner tonight. May the best skip win, I guess.
So what's great about curling really is that anyone can do it. You know, an example is for me, I herniated a disc in my lower back last summer and I came back to curling and I was able to still participate using a stick to hold the stone rather than having to squat down and deliver that way. There are wheelchair curlers who could do it. Our oldest member, Frank, is 81. We've had him as young as 16, so you could do it, timeless game. So our leagues vary in length every year. This year we have an 8-week league, so you sign up, you get assigned to a team. Most people do join as a single or as a couple. You come to one of our Learn to Curls, you spend 2 hours learning what you can about the sport, and then you come and join one of our leagues. If you don't have time to commit to a full league, you could sign up as a social member and curl when you have time and somebody needs a sub. So you don't have to be able to commit to the whole entire league in order to compete. Yeah, so it was a pretty exciting championship game. They were going back and forth in the first couple ends. And then Don's team had a big end, he got 4, and then Gordon creeped back.
So we were down 2 points, 2 stones in the last end, and we managed with all that pile of stones down there. We ended up tying it.
And on the last stone, tied it up. Because we didn't have more time, they have to do what's called a draw to the button. One person throws a stone, their team can sweep it, the other team can't sweep, and whoever's stone was closer wins the game. It's kind of our version of penalty kicks from soccer.
We kind of felt good going first and put the pressure on the other team and worked out great. I wasn't nervous. It was like, we've already played a great game.
But it came down to the very end, tie game, and it was so close.
Gordon threw his folks swept it perfectly, like as good a sweeping as they could have done, got it to where they wanted to.
Gordon was within inches of the center. I threw mine down, it was right on the line to go to the center.
And Don's wound up being probably about 12 or 18. They were both really close, good shots.
Just was too short and it didn't make it, but that's how close of a game it was.
It was an absolutely tremendous ending. I don't think anybody could have hoped for better tonight.
kind of what you dream of.
It was a great game. I'm proud of Gordon for winning his first championship. Don's won one before. That's not to say he didn't deserve to win, but it's kind of an exciting end, and I'm sure they'll both bring it into the next season, which starts next week.
Hey folks, nothing says Ocean State like getting to know your local fishmonger. So I'm here outside Fearless Fish Market, which has locations on the east and west side of Providence, to learn a little bit more. Let's take a look.
I'm Stu Meltzer. We're at Fearless Fish Market on the east side. I started Fearless Fish Market mainly to help people become more confident buying fish, cooking fish, and trying new things. I worked in wholesale fish originally, so I sold to chefs, like high-end restaurants and that. What kind of stuck out was people were just so desperate for like information, like where should I buy fish, or how should I cook this, or what should I do? You know, like there was so much that folks were unsure about and didn't know. So that was kind of really the genesis for the idea behind Fearless Fish, you know, just make it less scary and help make it more accessible. Part of coming here to Rhode Island and doing this in Providence was that you have a super enthusiastic food community here. People are into food, and then of course it's the Ocean State. So kind of focus on local fish as much as we can. Almost every morning we're running to pick up our fish and bring it back here, unload it, check the quality, getting fish cut, getting things put out, labeling the case, get ready for action, and then hopefully a lot of customers come in about 7 minutes. You know? Folks certainly come to us for the quality and the variety as well. You know, we have some stuff that not often going to see elsewhere, like we'll carry local Maine uni or razor clams or John Dory, or the other week we had golden tilefish. Today we have some sturgeon, which is not exactly local, but a really amazing fish. Really just celebrating some of these unique species that we've got available to us that people have like really responded to, you know, yeah, just for something different, something special. We just started doing a lot more prepared items, which have gone over really, really well. Things like a gremolata, we're doing like a fish chowder and a fish stew. Frozen fish as well. We're really happy to find higher end grocery items from our tin fish, like stuff to make a paella with. Eating fish is fun, and it's an adventure, and we can help you on that adventure, no matter where you are on the journey. Yeah, you should come and check us out. Yeah.
Ah, shucks. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back. I'm here in Pawtucket at ElectroMagnetic Pinball, home to the $10 play all day deal. Don't mind if I do.
We're here at ElectroMagnetic Pinball, the Museum and Restoration, Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
ElectroMagnetic Pinball is the accumulation of several people that have come together and decided to forward the mission of pinball, which is to get people out there and playing and get social.
We've got all sorts of pinball machines, from the classics from the 1950 wood rails right up to present day and everything in between.
We started with the Addams family about 10 years ago, and the collection has grown steadily ever since.
The Addams family, just growing up in the arcade in the 90s, really was a lot.
It's the one that started it all. It's the one that got the hook in the mouth.
And then we got an electromechanical next. It kind of all clicked. So we kept buying pinball. And then I guess a hobby turned into addiction, turned into a disease. You catch the pinball bug and that's it.
4 years ago we had maybe 12 machines. 2 years ago we had about 30 machines, and now we're somewhere around 100 machines. We have electromechanical pinball machines, and they go all the way up, I think, until 1976, when solid-state pinball machines started taking over.
Pre-1976, pinball was considered gambling.
Oh, it was. It was undoubtedly gambling when it first started.
Roger Sharp, he went before the New York City Council, and he proved with flippers pinball is a game of skill, not a game of chance. So it made it considered not gambling.
What makes a good pinball machine? That's a difficult question. What makes a good sports car? Some people like a fast action, non-stop fun. Some people like a game that will actually stop and show them a little movie, distract them for a little while, and then the ball gets dropped into play.
If I have a favorite machine, it's probably this casino right here. This casino machine is an amazing machine. That's a 1958, and this is the stuff I grew up on.
We have this game called the Haunted Cruise. It's a one-of-a-kind machine made by our friend Lynn.
We also have a lot of arcade games as well. There's skee ball, there's air hockey, there's Pop-A-Shot, there's driving games, there's classic Pac-Man, so we've got classic arcade games here as well. We got everything, not just pinball. People always ask us, how do you acquire these things?
Well, they come from all over the place. Sometimes people donate machines to us because we're a nonprofit. We've received 3 in memoriam. We found 2 on the side of the road. One was found in a tent in Martha's Vineyard.
Some of them, they're in pretty good condition when we got them. Other ones, they literally have mice in them, so they require an awful lot of cleaning.
We call it pinball funk. Right, so it takes us about 30, 40 hours to get that out.
Sometimes after a good cleaning, just a few parts and they're up and running again.
Don't think you'll find a friendlier lot of people anywhere on the planet than the pinball community. Ever since we started 10 years ago, they have been welcoming and very helpful.
You can play a video game at home still, but you really do need to go out to get the social atmosphere for a pinball game. But we like pinball because it's real. That's something Michael says.
Unlike a video game where the Koopa is always on the same place, level 2, world 1, it's always going to be there, pinball changes from game to game to game. You are never going to have the same game twice, no matter how hard you try.
We offer a free tour to everybody that comes in.
It's $10 play all day. There is no re-entry fee, and $10 is $10 all day is all day, 10 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. All the machines are set on free play. You don't have to carry a bunch of quarters.
It's been such a good response, so like it's kind of, you get what you give, and we've been given a lot, so we're really trying to give back.
Hey folks, I'm here in Smith Hill at Rise and Shine Coffee Bar because next up we talk to Jason Salvi, a local artisan who's bringing back the art of the hand-painted sign. Let's talk to him about how he's bringing character back to the streets of Providence.
My name is Jason Salvi. I'm a sign painter here in Providence, and we are in my home studio. I paint signs for businesses, sometimes fun, but mainly for businesses. So my first experience in painting any type of sign was in the Navy on board my ship. I was a police officer in the Navy, but somebody asked, does anybody here have any creativity? And you're not supposed to raise your hand, and I did. I loved art class. I loved drawing. Oddly enough, I loved doing pointillism when I was in high school art class, you know, the dots. You know, people ask, well, do you use rulers? Do you use this? Yeah, to a point, but most of it's just, you know, freehand. I have a very good hand. My mother's creative, my father's creative. I've always been creative. Just didn't know it could be a business. If you walk anywhere around the city, within the East Side, downtown area, you'll spot a sign that I did. One of my favorite new places and one of my new clients is Rise and Shine Cafe. You know, as an artist, you try not to let your ego, you know, I did that. It's kind of neat to see your work. I love the history of the city. I think we've forgotten a little bit about our past. There used to be a dozen sign painting companies in Providence. I mean, you look at old photos and you see sign painting and stencils. Where the Turk's Head building downtown, that used to be a huge sign painting shop. I mean, this was a retail mecca. Back in the day, every ad agency had sign painters. Now they don't. You know, there's, you know, vinyl, there's LED, even neon is making a huge comeback. So I'm trying to recapture that, and my signs touch on a memory, I think, and that's special to people. When somebody is doing a business sign, it's an extension of their personality. It's the first impression a customer gets. You got to show people you care about the details. Otherwise, why go in?
Grab yourself a quick pick-me-up. We'll be right back.
Keep on Cookin' is brought to you by Cranston's Wines and More.
Hey folks, welcome back. February, am I right? Lucky for us, Nick's got a recipe for cowboy stew that's sure to put a little meat on our bones.
Saddle up, partners, because it may be chilly in New England, but things are about to heat up. I'm not talking about old man winter packing it up early. I'm talking about a dish that's guaranteed to warm you down to your spurs, and that's my smoking hot cowboy stew. Cowboy stew is an old school dish that's straight from the Lone Star State. It combines different cuts of meat, stewing vegetables, heat, sweet, and smoke. It's the perfect meal for this time of year, and it's simple to make, so let's get cooking. So while some of the ingredients of this particular type of stew might be unique to it, the technique is still very much the same. So we're gonna get started by putting in a little bit of oil and some chopped onion. Now some large diced poblano pepper. That is on the very much the lower side of the heat spectrum. Very, very mild. But again, cut a little bit larger for the stew. Now once those peppers and onions start to break down, we're gonna go in with some chopped garlic. Not too soon on a chopped garlic. That might burn before the peppers and onions are ready. Quick saute on the garlic, I'm gonna go in with some corn. This is just freshly shucked off the cob. Give it a quick stir, and then we're gonna go in with some tomato. Now tomato has a lot of moisture, so that's gonna release into this, and it's gonna slow the caramelization process. So you buy yourself a little bit of time. Give it a quick mix. Let's give it a quick season. Let's go in with some fresh cracked pepper. Let's go in with some kosher salt. And now we're gonna remove all of these vegetables from in here so that when we add liquid and steak and meat and everything delicious for this stew, these don't overcook and turn to mush. Let's start to go in with some meat. I've got some ground beef here. Typically with stews, you would see tougher cuts of meat, things that need to break down for a while. But this is a quick stew, so you can move it right along. Now I've got some chopped up ribeye, which is gonna add a massive amount of flavor. Now this does need to break down a little bit, but I cut it in super small pieces, so even the 20, 30 minutes you're gonna let this simmer is gonna take care of business. Of course, you gotta season as you go. A little salt, a little pepper, the more the merrier. And then we're gonna let that simmer for about 5 to 8 minutes until everything is pretty much cooked through. Once those are cooked through, we're gonna go in with some sausage. I'm using kielbasa. Believe it or not, kielbasa is very common when you're doing cowboy stew. It's a cooked, smoked sausage, but we still wanna brown it. We still wanna render it, get all that fat and smoke and flavor in there. As if there's not enough in there, we're gonna go with some bacon, all right? That is smoky, and you gotta have a little bit more pork in there, so why not let it be bacon? Now, I kind of par-cooked the bacon. When you're stewing, you want everything to complete at the same time. So sometimes, you can do a little pre-cook like I did on the bacon. Okay, now that we've seen a lot of the solid ingredients, we've got to start to go with a little bit of wet ingredients. So I'm gonna put some crushed tomato in here. Let that tomato even caramelize just a little bit. We want a nice dark stew here. Now, we don't want it to be too thick, so we're gonna loosen that up with some broth. I'm using chicken broth, which I think is nice and neutral. Now be careful, because you don't want it to be too thin. Stews are, by nature, very, very hearty. Now, we don't want this to taste like tomato sauce, red sauce, but we gotta add some flavors that are gonna bring it down to the south. So I'm gonna go in with some cumin. I love cumin. Use a little bit more than you even think you're gonna need. Now, smoked paprika. Very, very, very critical ingredient here. Don't get hot smoked paprika, because you don't want it to be too spicy. Just a little smoked paprika is gonna go a long way. Okay, one of the stars of the show, a little bit more smoke. We're putting in chopped chipotle peppers. If you're breaking out the can, which I highly recommend using the canned chipotle peppers, you want maybe 1, 2 peppers most, depending on how much you like your heat. All right, let's mix in those spices. Now, it still has a little bit of a red color to it, and we've put in a lot of heat. To balance that, we're gonna go in with some sweet. So I've got some brown sugar. You can see that there's a lot of liquid in here, so let's start to go back in with our vegetables. We have those caramelized poblano peppers, onions, tomato, corn, garlic, big flavor. Now, I've got some beans. I'm putting in some white beans here. You can use any kind of bean you want. Black-eyed pea would work, pinto beans would work, but I'm going in with some white beans. Little beans in this cowboy stew. And no stew is complete without potatoes. So I've got some Yukon Golds right here. I par cooked these. We were talking a little bit before about the bacon being par cooked, potatoes par cooked, salted water. Give it a little last minute seasoning, a little more salt. Salt is critical. We got to keep enhancing these flavors. Pepper, critical. Adds a little bit of spice. Mix it up. I'm gonna let it simmer just for a minute, and since everything in here is pretty much cooked, and I always love to add a fresh element, I'm gonna go with some green onion. So fresh green onion on the finish. That is gonna add a little bit of bite, a little bit of zip, a little bit of color. Mix it up, grab your ladle, and boom, there's your cowboy stew. Well, that's it for me, you bandits. I'm off to ride off into the sunset. So until we meet again, you keep on cooking. Yeehaw!
Well, that does it for us. You guys go on ahead. I'm just gonna play a couple more games here. Yeah! Ha-ha! We'll see you next time. Yeah!
Simply is brought to you by Cranston's Wines and More.